Welcome everyone. In this short video, we're going to have a look at the requirements of clustering in data mining. Now, there are various requirements of clustering in data mining depending on the area or the algorithm that we're talking about. However, in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the most basic and important requirements that are there for clustering. So let's start with the first one. The first one I'm going to talk about is scalability. Now, clustering works very well on small data set, that is data set with less number of data objects. In this case, what happens is since the number of data objects we're dealing with are little, so it is very easy to find similarity and dissimilarity between them, to calculate the scatter coefficient and then form good quality clusters. However, as the number of data object increases on larger data set, we may get biased results and the clustering may not be as good as it is in smaller data set. So clustering algorithms require to be highly scalable, especially when you're working with data mining and huge data set. It is very important that clustering algorithm fulfill the requirement of being highly scalable. Now let's look at the next requirement. The next requirement is the ability to deal with different type of attributes. Now, as we know, most algorithms work with numerical data, but that is not the case always. There may be applications that require clustering to be done on binary, nominal, ordinal, or a mixture of data. In that case, your clustering algorithm has to be able to deal with different type of attributes. So this is one particular requirement that is very important for every clustering algorithm. But I will not say every, because some clustering algorithms may particularly be dealing with only numerical data and may be structured to deal with only such data. But as far as possible, we would put this as a requirement that my clustering algorithm should be able to work with various kinds of data. Then we come to the next requirement. Now the next requirement here is the ability to deal with noise and with outlier. Now when I say that, in real world we know that data set contains outlier, missing values, error, data with error, unknown values and so on. So some algorithms are sensitive and lead to poor quality clusters because of such data. So my clustering algorithm should be capable of dealing with noise and outliers. Then we come to the next requirement. Now mind you, I'm only talking about the most basic requirement here. These are not all. There are many more requirements that you could look into depending on the application you're working with. So let's have a look at this next one. The next requirement is your clustering algorithm should be independent of the order of input record. That is, the input that I'm passing to my clustering algorithm should be its order should be independent. However, this is one particular requirement which may not be fulfilled in every clustering algorithm, as some clustering algorithms specifically need you to fill in data or input in a particular order. Then we come to the next requirement. Minimal requirement for domain knowledge to determine input parameters. Now this is a very important requirement. Why I'm saying important? Because clustering is not used by only people who are designing this algorithm. Clustering is actually being used by people who are using application to cluster their data objects. For example, if I talk about market research, a person who is dealing with a particular application may want to find cluster of customers who buy a particular product or who are capable of reaching to a particular location where a product is going to be launched. So in that case, that particular person may not require to know how clustering is done. All he needs to know is the parameter he wants to supply and how many clusters does he need. So in that case, he really does not need the domain knowledge of how clustering is done. So this is one very important requirement which says that a minimal domain knowledge would be okay for using or for clustering. And clustering could be determined by only some input parameters, like how many clusters do I want, or what is the criteria for clustering. So those were some of the requirements of clustering, and I've listed all of them here. But again, like I say, there are many more requirements depending on the application that you are using. So that is all with this video. In the next video, we'll be talking about the different type of clustering that can be done. In case you have any queries, please feel free to comment below, or you could also reach me out on the email address given there.